All right, let's talk about something every single developer goes through, getting the hang of Stack Overflow. If you've ever poured your heart into a question only to see it get downvoted or closed, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. This one's for you. We're going to figure this out.
So this is the big one, right? It's the question that just haunts you when you're starting out. You've got a real problem, a bug that's driving you crazy, you ask for help, and bam, downvotes, or it's just closed. What is going on? It's probably the most common frustration for new developers on the platform.
And honestly, this is it. This is the whole secret right here. The moment you get this, everything else clicks into place. All that frustration comes from thinking you're in a casual coffee shop where you can just chat and ask anything. But you're not. You've walked into a massive, silent library.
So let's really dig into that idea, because understanding the mission, the whole reason Stack Overflow even exists, is the absolute key to using it the right way and, not having a bad time. You can see the two worlds laid out right here. A normal forum, that's all about discussion, opinions, back and forth. It's temporary help. Stack Overflow has a totally different goal: to build a permanent, searchable library of answers. This means your question isn't just a cry for help. It's a potential new book for that library. And for a book to be useful, it needs to be specific, objective, and have a real answer.
And this is their mission, straight from the horse's mouth. Look at the words they use. Systematically construct, library, high quality. See? It's not a help desk. It's a gigantic, collaborative building project. And every single rule on the site is there to protect the quality of that library.
So, because it's a library of facts, some questions just don't fit. Things that are based on opinion, like, hey, what's the best JavaScript framework? There's no single right answer to that. It's a great coffee shop conversation, but it's a terrible library entry. So these questions get closed, not because they're dumb questions, but because they just don't belong on the shelf. Okay, so you've got the library mindset. Awesome. Now let's get into the practical side of things. I want you to think about asking a question, not as some annoying chore, but as your first big quest. It's a challenge for sure, but when you nail it, you seriously level up as a developer.
And every good quest starts with some recon, right? You got to do your homework before you ask for help. It shows respect for the community's time. So first, you hit up the AI search. Then you do a good old-fashioned site search. And only after you've tried everything else, then you can ask the community.
So, what does a great question actually look like? Well, first, the title needs to be a perfect tiny summary of the problem. Then, explain what's going on in plain English before you just dump a wall of code. And this next one is so important. If you found similar questions, link to them and explain why their solutions didn't work for you. That little step can save your question from being closed as a duplicate.
Okay, now we come to it. The final boss. If you can beat this boss, you will win at Stack Overflow. I'm not kidding. It's called the Minimal Reproducible Example, or the MRE.
So what on earth is an MRE? It's actually pretty simple. You take your huge project and you start cutting things out. You delete everything, every line of code, every file that is not directly related to your bug. You want to boil it down to the absolute tiniest piece of code that someone else can copy, paste, run, and see the exact same error that you're seeing.
A perfect MRE really stands on 3 pillars. It has to be minimal. The trick here is to just keep removing code until the bug goes away. Guess what? The last thing you removed is probably your problem. It also has to be complete. Don't forget the HTML or CSS if it's a web thing. And finally, it has to be reproducible. Someone on a different continent needs to be able to run your code and get the exact same error.
And this right here is why the MRE is so powerful. It's not just something you do for other people. The act of creating an MRE is one of the best debugging tools you have. I can't tell you how many times I've started making an MRE to ask a question, and halfway through I find the bug myself.
Oh, and a quick pro tip. Please, please, please never post a screenshot of your code. Just don't do it. Why? Well, you're asking volunteers for help, and posting an image forces them to waste time retyping all your code just to test it. Be kind. Always post your code as text inside a code block.
All right, so you've posted your perfectly crafted question. Now what? You're going to get feedback. Sometimes it's a comment, sometimes it's a vote. It can feel a little intimidating, but you have to reframe it. These people are your allies, not your enemies. They're helping you guard the library.
This is so critical to remember. A downvote is not a personal attack. Nobody is saying, you're a bad coder. It's just a quiet, impersonal signal from the community that says, hey, this question needs a little more work before it's ready for the library shelf. It's a call to edit and improve, that's all.
Now, as you participate, you'll start earning reputation points. Getting to just 15 points is a really cool moment. Why? Because that's when you unlock the ability to upvote other people's stuff. You officially graduate from being just a reader in the library to one of the librarians.
On the other side of the coin, a downvote on your question costs you 2 reputation points. Now, don't think of it as a punishment. It's more like a tiny little nudge. It's a small price that helps everyone remember how much the community values high-quality contributions. And if you're still worried about making a mistake, Stack Overflow has this awesome feature for new users called the Staging Ground. It's like a secret power-up. You can write your question there, and experienced users will review it privately and give you feedback before anyone else sees it. It's a fantastic way to learn the ropes. So after all this work, what's the real payoff? I mean, yeah, you get an answer to your bug, which is great, but the real reward is so much bigger than that. It's all about your growth as a professional.
You should really think of Stack Overflow as a gym for developers. The discipline it teaches you, how to isolate a bug, how to communicate a complex problem clearly, how to take feedback. These aren't just Stack Overflow skills. These are the skills that separate junior developers from senior ones.
And every time you ask a great question or provide a great answer, you're actually building a public portfolio. You're showing the world that you know how to debug, that you can communicate like a pro, and that you have the rigor and attention to detail that companies are desperate to hire. People notice that stuff.
So I'll just leave you with this one thought. The next time you're stuck, the next time you have a bug, take a step back and ask yourself, is this just a problem that's annoying me, or is this my chance to make a real contribution, a new, high-quality entry in the library of knowledge for millions of developers who will come after me? Pretty cool when you think about it that way, isn't it?